Addiction to Purpose with Riches in Recovery welcomes you to our audience. We hope that you enjoyed today's show and will join in the discussion by dropping a review or comment. It would be tremendous if you would like, rate, and share our content, or even subscribe to our channel. Please be aware that not all conversations on this show are suitable for children. Additionally, we may talk about things such as sexual abuse, domestic violence, and drug or alcohol abuse. If you feel that these things may trigger you, please do not tune in. Finally, if you are a heavy daily user of alcohol or drugs and are considering stopping, please consult a medical professional for assistance. Welcome to the conversation. Hi, and thanks for joining us again today. This episode is going to be about your first time in residential recovery. And it's going to be a bit of fun for me because the guests that we have on actually went to the same recovery house that I went to. So it's going to be a bit of reminiscing for me, kind of shared memories. I do want to say that you do not have to go to a residential program in order to get sober. That's certainly not how I feel. And there are other options. There are less expensive professional options, such as partial hospitalization programs and intensive outpatient programs. There are obviously the 12-step programs, such as Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous. There's Refuge Recovery. There's Smart Recovery. There are many, many programs out there that are really on a donation basis, and most of them you don't have to donate if you're unable to. So they are out there and available to you. And there are many, many people around the world that have gotten sober through those programs as well. And in fact, most people that go through a residential or a professional program also find that in order to maintain their sobriety, they go through or they continue their sobriety and their education through one of those no-cost programs that are out there. And so there's a lot of options that are available to you. Additionally, I do want to say that if you are a heavy daily user of drugs or alcohol, that it can be very dangerous to detox on your own, even life-threatening. So I would encourage you to at least consider contacting a medical professional if you're a heavy daily user and you are looking to quit, just to at least get some advice and some, maybe coaching on how to detox safely and to avoid potentially hurting yourself, because that's a very real danger, and it's definitely affected people negatively in the past. I know I've been very fortunate to have guided detox and unguided detox, and unguided detox is very scary. So with all of that said, I would kind of finish my thought with the fact that I would like to do an episode a little bit down the road with another couple of friends where we talk about how they did not go to a residential program and that they got sober by doing this all through one of the no-cost programs that are out there, getting a sponsor, being of service, and so on. So you can look for that in the near future. I won't do that too far away. Hopefully be able to slate that in sometime next month. And with that, we will jump right into guest introductions for this episode.
Tiana, alcoholic.
Hi, Tiana.
Hi. I left rehab on May 17th, 2023, and my sober date is August 11th. 2023.
Great.
Well, what am I grateful for?
Yeah.
Like everything. I would say right now I'm really grateful for my health.
Great. Cool.
I'm
Ben.
I'm Ben, and I'm also an alcoholic. I went to Azure, and my sobriety date is January 12th, 2024. And what am I grateful for? I'm grateful for just the last 5.5 months and how it's showing me how to live, honestly, because I didn't have the willingness or the ability to do that myself, and I've just been very grateful the last 5.5 months.
Very cool. Ben mentioned that he mentioned Azure. So Azure Acres in Sebastopol is a recovery house here in Sonoma County, and it happens to be that Ben and I were housemates in that recovery house. So him and I lived together there for a month or so, and so we have a few people here that are speaking from experience from the same recovery house. So I should disclose that recovery houses are obviously very, very different. Rich, if you've tuned into a previous episode, he went to a different recovery house that was obviously uh, each one's going to have a little bit of a different experience. You know, I've heard everything from places that were much more.
But mine was nowhere near as nice as their recovery place. Mine was definitely the bargain basement, but I was still able to get the same kind of instruction, same kind of love that I needed. And a lot of times you go to recovery, go to rehab, and you have been going through a rugged time. Before you get to rehab, you are feeling rough. No one really wants to walk into rehab. Most of the time you're getting there, you really need to because you've been having a rough time. And those 28 days or 90 days, no matter how long you're in there, you need to be able to get away from society for a while and take a deep breath. And that's what you get from rehab a lot of times. And you're in that bubble, you're around all these other people that are teaching you their experience. You go through classes and so forth. You're getting all the experience from your friends. You're making new friends where you've just gone ahead and blown up all your other friends. And you're just learning to function without the alcohol or drugs or whatever it was. And so you get that 28 days, and that's the first step for you to go ahead and get into recovery mode. And after that, then you go out and do the work once you get out of the recovery house. But rehab is normally a pretty good thing for people. It's a pretty good time. It's a time to relax. And so that's what Azure Acres did for them and my rehab place. Even though it wasn't as luxurious as theirs, it still did the same thing for me. So
Yeah, I guess what I was getting at is that you have everything that ranges from something that's kind of like more like what you might call an institution, right? To that's almost like a little more hospital feel, to something like what we went to. It's kind of almost log cabin in the woods type of a feel, to Beverly Hills, like converted mansion, super fancy. So yeah, so there's kind of something that would fit everybody out there. There's all male, all female. There's really something for everybody out there. And yeah, anything to add?
Oh, I'm good.
Good. Alrighty, so we will just kind of jump into some questions. So you guys kind of said rehab month and years. So I just kind of wanted to just kind of what got you there, right? Like what clicked that said, okay, I should probably go to residential rehab.
what's your story, Ben?
Yeah.
Nothing really clicked for me. I know that I got a DUI and totaled my car into somebody else December of 2022, and I was going to court once a month for the year leading up to Azure in January. And yeah, I guess I was forced there, and a month into there trying to find a loophole and get through the 90 days that I had. I figured there was no loophole and everybody has similar stories, and I guess this is a disease it's a disease and not just lack of willpower. So I started committing to actually doing the recovery work probably a month into rehab. Yeah. So a DUI for me. That's what put me in that.
Awesome. I ended up in the hospital in January of 2023. I had to remember what year we're in. January of last year. and with pancreatitis. And it was horribly painful. I mean, that doesn't even begin to describe it. But I spent about 5 days in the hospital. And the doctors said I couldn't drink anymore. And I said, cool, this hurts. I won't drink anymore. And then, a few months went by and I was like, as long as I'm in moderation. And my closest friends and family knew. And I kind of disappeared for a few days in April. And one of my friends showed up at my house, really ruined my buzz. She came over and threw away all my alcohol and said, "You're going to rehab?" And I said, "Okay," because I was pretty drunk. And she wouldn't leave my house, and she stayed the night. She called my mom, and the next day I said, well, if I'm going to go somewhere, I want to go to Azure because I grew up in Sebastopol. That was a place I knew, I was familiar with. And I gave them a call, and they said, okay, we can get you in this afternoon. And I said, but I have things to do. And I was like, I can't go right now. And everybody around me was
People
like,
can't live
well,
without me.
we'll figure it out. And I'm like, but, and they're like, nope. And we'll take turns taking care of your dog, and we'll just make it work. So I went the next day, and yeah, so for me, it was my health. It was the hospital visit.
Now, pancreatitis, was that related to your alcohol use? Yeah.
Yep, my poor little body had enough. Shit is painful. I cannot even. Ooh, I that was the most pain I've ever been in my entire life, and I had back surgery when I was a kid. Like, that was nothing. This was the most, and I despise morphine, which is funny. The irony in that, but I hate pain pills and I hate morphine, and so I wouldn't let them put me on it, and I was in so much pain that they begged me. So finally I let them, and then I had a horrible night of just like hallucinations, and I was like, no more. So I pretty much just kind of white knuckled it for those days that I was in the hospital, the pain, and it was pretty brutal. My whole body was beat up. I don't want to do that again.
I've heard pancreatitis is pretty brutal.
Yeah, I did have a friend who drank himself into pancreatitis too, and it just was not a good thing for him.
No. But see, the great thing I will say about pancreatitis, and I know it sounds weird, is that you can recover from it. You can change your lifestyle and you can recover from it. And there's some things that, alcoholics end up with that you can't recover from, that those are a death sentence, and pancreatitis is not one. So I'm very lucky that I got it. And that was my body's way of saying, hey, you better stop now or things are going to get worse. So, I would say that I am grateful for it, because it is something that I've able to manage with a good diet and not drinking.
Yeah.
Good job. No, you're on the road to recovery when you can really realize that you can make the best of it. You can.
And it was a blessing.
Yeah, blessing. You can go ahead and find those things that you thought were the most horrible things. While you were drinking, you can find a blessing from them. It's a good job. Love to hear that.
Yeah.
So day one at Azure. I mean, I know my first time going in, I had no idea what to expect. So day one, what was it like? I mean, did you detox there? And tell that day one story.
So,
were you drunk when you went in?
I was not. I actually didn't. So, because it was court related and, it was my life, I didn't go in there drunk or anything like that. I was actually sober the day before. And then, the detox was actually, whatever those green pills are, the detox worked for me. I was completely fine. They moved me downstairs I was in that nasty room for one day, and then they moved me downstairs, and then I was in it and was going to classes and stuff and acting for a month. But, the detox was fine for me, honestly. It's just I didn't really want to be there, was the thing.
Yeah. Were you coming up with ways to escape?
Yeah, I was just like, I could just walk through the tree line until I get out of here. Or, how long until I get in trouble again for doing something like that. Just pros and cons of not doing what I had to do.
Right.
And how long did it take before you realized that it was a good place for you?
Like a month.
So you were there for 90 days?
Yeah. I left I did 94 days there. They actually kept me 4 extra days to send me straight to the SOE I'm at right now. They took me and shuttled me over there because I just didn't trust myself to go next to like the Stop and Rob or anything.
Good for you.
Yeah, very good.
The thing about rehab though is time doesn't exist like it does in the real world.
Right.
Time, it's like, I always say it's like exponential. Like a day in there is like a week in real life, a week in there is like a month is like a year. I mean, the longer you're there, so it's like people that you feel like you've known for so long. It's just crazy. And it's just like, I don't know about you, but 30 days, I felt like I was there for a year. But then also I felt like I was there for a week and was like, wow, I'm already done.
Right. Yeah, it is kind of weird how time flows in there. And the other thing, for those of you who might be thinking about going, something that I think is worth mentioning is that your time in rehabilitation, in my experience, is dictated by who your insurance is and what they will allow for. And so I've seen it for people run from everything from whatever their detox is going to be. So 5 to 7 days of detox, and then they're out and expected to step down into like a partial hospitalization or something like that type of a program, to kind of the 28 days that you hear about, to 3 months, or even there are 6-month programs, and I've even heard of like 2-year programs, right? So there's the whole gamut that's out there.
And there's also the day classes too that you go in and
right,
go home.
The partial hospitalization or the intensive outpatient programs that are in existence. So all of those exist out there. I know in the residential program that I went to, the director at the house said that the average stay for an individual there was like 23 days. So that's kind of, that's the average. So that's the average of the people that stay for 3 months and the people who come in for 7 days. Average person stays for 23 days. So, anyway, just thought that was worth sharing. And Tiana, day 1, what was it like? Detox?
I felt like complete shit.
Yep.
That was pretty miserable. I was so jealous of the people who came in. Were like, I had my last drink on the way here. I was like, well, I didn't get that. I had people at my house since yesterday, and they wouldn't let me drink anything. So, I didn't drink that day. I was just hungover and felt terrible, and it was terrifying. I'd never been to anything like that. I was just terrified. I went in. I didn't spend too long detoxing, but because of how full it was when I was there, me and my roommate from the day that I got there, she got there a couple days before me, we stayed in the detox wing for like a week because they didn't have any place to put us. And we were like, became kind of like the moms of the detox girls that would come in, and we were like taking care of them. It was pretty funny. But yeah, no, my detox wasn't bad. I was weaned off the medication after just a few days. It wasn't anything bad. My hangover going in there was worse than any detox that I did. It was pretty painless, and then I moved into upstairs into the normal room with my same roommate, and yeah, it was just terrifying. I mean, I went there, but the thing is, the people that I met on day 1 were just like, they knew that it was terrifying, and they were really kind and welcoming, and were like, here's your food. I'm like, I can't eat. They're like, that's okay. We're going to put your name on it and put it in the fridge, and I'll be your buddy, and I'll, help you with this. And so it's just like, it was just this little world that I was welcomed into. So, yeah.
Yeah, it is terrifying at first. And then, boom, everyone, like you said, everyone knows it's terrifying. And everyone rallies around you. Yeah. That's what, in the recovery community, that's the way it is. If you're in recovery and you need a hand, you get 20 of them sent right to you. You really do. Anytime you need a hand, you put one out, you always get the help. Yeah. Always get the help.
That is something that's really new to me still to this day, is the recovery community being so like kind and helpful. And just accepting that they're just trying to be kind and helpful. instead
No
of like
ulterior
wanting
motive,
something from you or having it be transactional in any way. It's just like they're just genuine humans and they want to help.
You
That's
know,
new.
Cool.
and it is some, every time you help someone, someone who's been around for a bit, when you help someone, it helps you too. It helps you with your sobriety. It's a give and take whenever you help someone too. It makes you feel that always called that buzz. It's always that buzz when you get to help someone else. It's just that's what you look for, is being able to help someone. That's where you get your buzz now from that, and it's a powerful one. It is just fantastic one. When you sorry, I'll stop preaching that because I'll get on my soapbox about that one. I just love it. So let's keep going.
I haven't heard that very much over the last few years. What my sponsor.
Love it.
Yeah, no, that was my experience. My detoxes, both times that I went in, were rough. They kept me on the Valium for 7 days for my taper.
You were
Like
pretty
it was
rough, Rich.
right. I know.
I mean, I saw people come in that were.
Yeah.
I brought him.
Yeah. He took me in the second
Man.
time. Could you imagine him and I shoulder to shoulder in a car?
My car's not small either. It was still shoulder to shoulder.
It was a tight ride.
I was just like you when I went in too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never have to do that again.
No, you don't. You
don't
never
wanna.
have to do that again.
Never have to do that again.
Uh-uh.
All right, so just kind of like, so you're settled in, you got your room, your roomie, your chores, your schedule. What were your thoughts once you got kind of settled in and you were like, this is going to be my life for 30 days?
90.
Well, yeah, for 90, right?
I actually really like the schedule on the board and the chores thing because I kind of saw it as like a nice little like watered down boot camp thing where I was like, oh wow, this is so lax and people aren't screaming at me and I could actually like, I don't know, just go through this and process it, I guess, because I'm attempting to be sober now, so it's all brand new to me, but the whole schedule and structure thing was huge for me. It helped a lot. And then the chores thing, I mean, I like stimulants with my alcohol, so me running around with like a mop or whatever it looked like, it was filling my time and not letting me be in my head. It was really good. I was doing it the whole time.
Yeah.
It was cool.
So
I
this
enjoyed
is
it.
Ben. This is not an alcohol program, right? So it's an addiction program. So you can feel free to talk about other extracurriculars.
Yeah.
And I also, for our audience's sake, is it fair to you can mention your service as well as to why you might feel comfortable in that structured environment?
Yeah. I joined the Marine Corps in the beginning of 2017, and I got out the end of 2020, and went from structure and family to drinking alone and not having a purpose, and that completely. I mean, so the Marine Corps is completely a drinking culture. We were born in a bar and all this stuff, but getting out was just an absolute nightmare. It took me like 2 weeks to another like one of those little month things to be like, this isn't sustainable and this is terrible and I'm gonna not want to be here. And then I just didn't have the ability to do anything about it. I just stayed in the hamster wheel and was just ruining my life until I put my car in a ditch.
Yeah.
That's how that went.
Yeah.
But the Marine Corps is a great place. I mean,
Yeah, and that's
we're into that kind of stuff.
I'll just have you mention that because I think there's probably audience members that can relate to that experience as well, right? So
having purpose and losing all of it.
Right. I mean, plenty of people get out of the military, and I think that it's not uncommon to be like, now what?
Right.
People have told me what to do for 3 or 4 or 5 or 8 years, and now I'm
every
like,
day, all the time, yeah.
Who's going to tell me what to do?
Yeah, that's not good.
And there are fantastic meetings out there for people that have just come out of the military or were in the military and have addictions. And there are some terrific vets meetings. There's one here on Friday nights that's just fantastic. You don't have to be a vet to go to the meeting. because I'm not, but I'll go to the meetings sometimes because there is nothing like having a room full of vets that have gone through the same things and are working a program. So they got the younger guys in the programs, and then the older guys are working with them. Knowing the ropes and knowing that they've had to chew up the same type of ground that the younger guys went through. It's just a caring atmosphere. These guys just help each other out. And so, if you're a vet, looking for help, I know in AA there are some fantastic vet meetings, and you reach out, there'll be plenty of guys ready to help you out. It's just a great community, with the vets that are seeking sobriety. So it's something to check out in your area.
I love the Friday night vets.
The Friday night
It's
vets
one of
is
my favorites.
awesome. Yeah, it's a
I was
great
just there
meeting.
on Friday.
Now, what about you? Once you settled in and figured out that you were going to have a class schedule and kind of...
It was good. I mean, the first few days I didn't have to do anything, but I was just kind of bored. And, but the same thing, like I appreciated having a schedule, and I just kind of like went through the motions. I was really just kind of in a daze, but it was like, I didn't get it. The people who were there who didn't go to the classes and didn't participate and didn't do the chores, and they didn't get anything out of it. And I was just like, I'm not going to spend my time here and not get something out of it for me personally. So I did all the things. I got up and, I did the morning meetings, and I did all the things that we did in the afternoons. I signed up, I volunteered for whatever chores to help do anything and participate, because that was the only way I was really going to, for myself, get something out of it. And, I had my person that was my roommate on day one that was there for me. So we stayed roommates the whole time. And so, we had that, I had that kind of safety net, that my person. So it was good. I mean, it was always just kind of, I was just like a deer in headlights for probably the first 2 weeks there at least. I just kind of went through the motions but I did all of the things, because if it didn't work, I couldn't say it was because, if for some reason it didn't work, then I would know it was the program that didn't work and not me, if I did everything I needed to do and took everything out of it I could take.
I like that. I definitely think it's a get out of it what you put into it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think a lot of times you hear, even, I think I'll rephrase how I was going to say that. I think there's been times where I've said, I don't think this will work, and it's because I didn't want to do the work, right? Mm-hmm. So, or I hadn't done the work to my fullest, or what have you.
Half measures.
So, yes.
The avails nothing.
So, what was one thing or a couple things that you didn't pack that you were like, should have packed that?
See, the thing is, I was really lucky because I live in the same community that I went to rehab in. And a lot of people aren't in that same position. So day one, I had my best friend there. She just threw a bunch of shit in a suitcase for me, and I went. And I didn't have like half the things I would have wanted. But after I got settled in, I literally got on FaceTime when we had phone time with another friend of mine while she was in my house, and walked her around and told her all the things to pack for me, and she dropped them off at the office for me. So I was pretty lucky in that sense, where a lot of people didn't have that option. But I would say I didn't pack the right kind of clothes. I don't know what I ended up with, but I had like one pair of leggings and a bunch of shirts. So definitely more of a balance of clothes, because yes, you could do laundry, but doing laundry is kind of a pain in the ass. You got your schedule. So more of a balance of clothes for the weather and everything there. Definitely things to do. I had my friend bring puzzles and coloring books and, activities. We started a big old puzzle. I had a whole big Lego set that I had never opened that she had gotten me when I was supposed to have surgery. It was a friend's Lego set, and it was like this coolest thing. And I brought that. Idea. People loved it so much that I never even put one piece into it. It was put together in like 2 days when people stayed up all night, which I didn't care. I loved that. So little things like that were really nice to have. Books, of course. So yeah, things to do. Notebook, journal to write in. That was definitely something that she ended up bringing me as a gift, which I used the whole time I was there for journaling and for taking notes during the sessions and the classes and all of the stuff. So I would say that would be it.
Nice. I didn't know that you could bring your phone. I thought I was going into like the whole hospitalization look where it's like white hallways and all that good stuff. Right. And then I got there and whatever the guy's name was like, you could bring your phone. So I grabbed it out of my mom's glove box, and I didn't bring a charger. So after I got my phone back, I was that guy. And then what else?
Did you find chargers from other people?
I was definitely being a tweaker and finding how to charge my phone. The other thing after it got nicer, was a swimsuit. I needed a swimsuit. I was running around and going to the pool in shorts for like a couple of times, but I got a swimsuit and that was about it. I definitely, the day before, because I was sober and like hungover and just hating my life, I was packing like 10 pairs of socks, 10 pairs of drawers, and 10 shirts, and 10 everythings, and I was just pissed. So I did pack everything besides a swim trunks.
Ben also smuggled in a rice cooker.
Oh, that's right. So I also, my mom lives local as well, and
had his own rice cooker.
I moved up to the little house, and I was like, all right, I need to do something about this little kitchen up here because I'm going to use it. And the rice cooker came because I asked her to bring it, and they let it through, and then stole it from me.
Yeah.
They gave it to me the last day, and I was like, all right.
It's kind of funny. So from the class schedule, like what was like your favorite class, or like, I know it was pretty varied, it's kind of hard to pin it down.
I loved the like meditation and the yoga. I did that every time, and I loved that we had that as an option. The guy who did the meditation was phenomenal. That was really cool. I mean, but I loved all of it. I love about where we went is that it's a dual diagnosis facility, and I didn't realize that I needed that until I was there. So the having my own therapist that specialized in addiction and mental health, and that changed my life.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the process groups once I finally committed to actually doing it. The process groups were like my biggest fear the first month. I was like, oh, they're actually going to dig into stuff and want to know how my day is going and stuff. And that sucked. And then I was like, oh, wow, I could actually air out my laundry right now. And the process groups became my favorite group. And when they wouldn't do them, I was getting a little pissed. But process groups for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So process group is the version of group therapy that they do on site there. And yeah, I think that was my favorite too. There were definitely some other things that I benefited from, but that one, hands down, like just being able to sit and just be open and vulnerable and like talk about your stuff and, talk about K-Fuck You Radio and different things like that, like it just,
helps a lot.
Yeah.
Takes the power out of it when you start talking about it.
Does.
When you start talking about it and getting it out, that's so important. But that's when you go through these classes, when you're taking all these classes, you're starting to get what I always call you got another tool in your tool belt. You start off with no tools at all, not even a belt to start off with. And when you're in rehab, all those classes, they're giving you another tool for your tool belt that you didn't have before because, you were an addict and you don't want tools for your tool belt. You want your alcohol, your drugs. That's what you want. Those are the tools that you have in life, or your best friend, your alcohol. And those classes were to give you tools. Yeah. And so you just start getting them when you're in rehab. And once you get out of rehab and you start going to meetings and then you got your sponsors and all that stuff, then you start getting those tools, more and more of them, and you get stronger and you got more tools to deal with all these different things coming at you. And, after you get, a year, we were talking about it, then you start getting, going through situations where you've been through it before and you already have that tool in your tool belt to go ahead and whip that out and start taking care of things. But you start getting those tools when you're in rehab. That's when you start putting those together. And I want to tell you about my favorite class that I had in rehab. There was this guy. It was an old biker guy, big old. I've got this mustache, but he had this big old thing hanging down, and he's tough and roughy voice and stuff like that. But he got all the men together in class. I forget what they called it, but it was for the men to go ahead and got you to somehow take down your defenses and stop being a manly man, and just go ahead and relax and, be a real person and let down your defenses and just talk it out, because, a lot of people when they're, been an alcoholic for a long, long time, or, it's a family disease. So a lot of times your dad was an alcoholic that used to beat the snot out of you. So you become a dad that's an alcoholic that beat the snot out of your kid, and so on and so forth. We get into your head that, it's all right to be a nice person. It's all right to go ahead and love someone. And so you break down all these guys, talk about love and how important it is in your life, and how you're a man, but you can also love. And the whole class, you'd have these guys who are just, going to, the tough guys in the class, they're blubbering and just saying, yeah, it's great. Yeah, I love people and stuff, but I can't show it. And, he was the greatest, this guy. I forget his name, too, which is a bummer. But yeah, that was a great class to go to. Once a week, we'd have class with this guy, and every week, he'd really get to us, and even the toughest guy could not hang, could not. They would still break down and just start learning how to love each other, and that was a great class. That's my best class.
Getting vulnerable does suck a lot, but when you finally do it, it's really great.
Definitely therapeutic.
It's good.
Especially when you got to feel all the feelings for the first time in a really long time.
Oh, yeah.
Feeling them sober is a whole new ballgame, too.
Isn't that great?
It's brand new.
Yeah, right. Let's see. Something that I heard a lot and felt a lot when I was in residential was getting a lot of recovery from other residents. Not just from the behavioral health associates or the therapists, but from hanging out with just my peers. What are your thoughts on that? And did you feel like you got some of that? So therapy, peer therapy, if you will.
So I had a lot of different groups of people that went through in the 3 months I was there, and a good example of getting something out of a peer would be you. You showed me a lot of things in the groups and stuff like that, and just like smoking and joking in the smoke pit, a lot of good stuff. But then there's also learning by just like observing, because if I'm sitting here sober and watching people that are a week in, and I'm like, okay, that's very similar to what I used to do. And then they're just kind of running around after 2 weeks and being dry drunks, if you will. It's like I could visually see what's going on there, and those aren't the winners I want to be around. So there was like a lot of good things and a lot of good conversations that I got out of a lot of good people. There's also things that I could relate to them on the other side of being there fresh, but like continuing to act like that even when you're sober. I tried to not do that, and when I would feel like I was doing that, I would stop. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said before, this was my first experience with anything recovery related. And going there, I thought, God, I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't belong here. I heard some crazy stories. I'm like, nothing like these people. And then I would sit back and listen and hear people telling my story. And I was like, oh my God, you did that too? It's not just me. And so, and I know a lot of people get that in like the AA rooms and stuff, but that was my first experience with it. And it was just like, it was such a relief to see that like people understood me. And so that was really cool. And, I came out of there with people who are going to be in my life forever, who are just an integral part of my recovery and my life now. And I am so grateful for that. And I also saw, it wasn't all great. Everybody didn't get along, all the time. Yeah. You're in this close setting with a bunch of really different personalities. And there were definitely people who were disruptive or who were bullies. And, so there's that piece to it, which can be frustrating and intimidating, but it's also, it's real life. You're going to get out there in real life and you're going to have to deal with people who get along with people you don't, and you have to find ways to work with that. So, but yeah, I mean, and of course, like, the staff, I don't know if they realize how, I mean, I'm sure they do, but, it's a thankless job. It's not like some glamorous job they do, and they're helping people that are in the worst place mentally and probably getting very little appreciation or recognition while we're there. And what they do is just an amazing thing. And yeah, I mean, I had, people that I don't talk to anymore that I don't know if they'll ever know how much they were a part of my recovery and my journey. People who welcomed me, people who will always be a part of my life. So the peer thing is definitely, it's a huge part of it, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see, couple pros, couple cons. Like, I think we've talked a lot about some good things that we have, but if you're to just like two in the win, two in the loss column, like just what would you throw out that you'd say like?
Go ahead.
I'll go ahead. I know that a con that I didn't like was like you were saying earlier, going to groups and putting in 100%. This is me after a month in there, but going and doing 100% and then having somebody else just like kind of not do anything, which that's their journey and they can do whatever they want, obviously, but that kind of pissed me off. I had to get over that, obviously, because I'm not going to do shit about it, but that kind of pissed me off. So if they could adjust that, or maybe even just have the detox room just not walking through the groups and the meditation, that was ridiculous. But besides that, not too many bad things came from rehab. I actually had a really good time with it once I got out, and I was like, wow, I miss rehab, and that's weird to say.
Unless you got out in the real world. And
right.
Wow.
I say that all the time. Sometimes I wish I could just check in for like a night or a weekend. Like, can I just come and hide here for like a weekend?
Right.
I thought that for the first couple of years of recovery. I thought that wouldn't it be nice to just go back there and get out of society for a day or two and be back there.
Right.
And then that kind of just goes away. You realize I like being out of there, and I've made my world, so much better. I don't need their world anymore. But but at first,
I guess for grown-ups like us, that's why they do things like silent retreat, and you pay.
Yeah, but that costs a lot of money.
Right, that's what I was going to say.
And
then you pay like $2,500 to go on a weekend where you don't get to talk to anybody, and they feed you quinoa all weekend, and
oh man,
yeah, right.
Rehab ain't cheap.
Rehab is not cheap, but like Tiana said, like insurance pays for most of it.
For
if you're
people,
fortunate, if you're fortunate enough to have insurance that does that.
I'd say for me, one of the cons was drama. That wasn't really conducive to my sobriety. The drama, and then I don't know. I don't really have it. I mean, pros, I would say the chance to reset. I don't think personally I could have gotten sober if I didn't have that 30 days protected from the outside world. And I think my favorite part about it, which was the thing I was most upset about going into it, was not having my phone all the time. I got to really detach from my phone, which was huge for me, and kind of reconnect with nature. So I loved that.
Yeah, the first time that I went in 21, you only got your phone for like an hour on Sundays.
Yeah.
That was it.
That was me.
That was it. And that's funny because you didn't go that long ago. But this time when I went in February of this year, they're like,
they all have their phones
after 3
now.
days, they're like, here's your phone. I'm like, man, like I got so stressed out when they gave me my phone back. I was like, man, I'm so stressed out now.
I saw, from my, I think that that's a detriment to, on a personal level, a detriment to recovery, because from what I saw and what I experienced was that connection with the drama outside the world did not help in the recovery journey. I saw it happen to other people, and I felt it happen with myself, where it's like, if you're cut off from that, then you can not have to face it. But
I think it kind of depends person to person. I think for some people it's helpful to have the outside world contact. I really do, genuinely, like having that one string to their loved ones, to what have you. But
the phone in the lobby.
Then there's that other piece where, like, for me, I had to go through, when I did get my phone back, I was like, okay, block all the people that I work with, block all the people that I don't want to hear from, delete my work email so it can't go off. Like, I had to go through so that I wouldn't be stressed about my phone and shut off the part of my life that I didn't want to contact me while I was there. And then I even set boundaries with the people who could contact me. I will contact you. If you text me, only text me once. I will get back to you. Like, I think you even remember the text that I sent out that was like,
yep.
Here's the firm boundary. Don't bother me.
I
because
just let you contact me first. I didn't.
I don't know. I think it's just important to be able to let go of all of that and just focus on working on yourself. But, that's fine.
As soon as they gave me my phone back, my anxiety went through the roof. It was insane.
I didn't get a phone.
Yeah.
Zero phone when I went.
Really
Zero. And there was a 2 pay phones in the lobby.
I heard that.
And you had to get change for. And, a quarter and a dime. Boom, you had to have that.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's expensive, man. I thought back then it would have been like, what, a nickel?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I had to take the shot.
They did let me keep my watch, though, so I could listen to my book, which I really appreciated. And I did pretty good. Like 90% of the time I kept it in airplane mode, but sometimes I would sneak and put it on and check my texts and then go back off. But I did like it, because then I would walk the hill and like do laps and listen to my book.
That was an upside for my phone as well, because I would walk around in the circle and listen to music constantly. And I guess that helped a lot.
Yeah.
But getting my phone back was terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It took away from recovery exactly what it did.
I think, I use mine very limited. I use mine, mostly, honestly, mine was guided meditations. And then past that, I use it very little. So, I don't know. I think some people definitely appreciate having their phone. And then I think some people just go back to another very addictive behavior where it's just, they're just caught into the scrolling. Anyway, that was a big tangent on phones, but I think well deserved. I still sometimes just want to throw my phone away as I look over at my phone that's sitting next to me. Aftercare. So I don't really know, but did either of you guys do any partial hospital or intensive outpatient after the program?
I did not. I went straight to the SLE I'm at now.
That's
okay.
SLE, sober living environment.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not. I went home and had some struggles.
Yeah.
I went home by myself. I wouldn't say that. I would say if I had the opportunity to do the IOP in my specific situation, I didn't. But if I did, I think that is a great. I've seen people who did do it and went to the IOP and then went to the SLE and really following all the steps. And I think it's the program for a reason. There's a reason why those steps exist. And I've seen it do great things for people. But I did go straight into AA.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that has been kind of my saving grace. But
yeah.
Did you do the 90 and 90 right out? No.
I didn't.
It's
I
hard
just
to do.
started showing up to AA meetings not knowing what the heck I was doing. I was deer in headlights all over again. But I kept going. And I just sat in the back and didn't really talk to anybody until I finally got a sponsor and things got better.
So, and you said no post for you?
No.
Really? Nothing professionally post?
I did the 3 months and I thought that was enough, not realizing like it probably would help with all of that, but so is the SLE and holding me accountable, because that's the huge thing for me is I need the accountability by some other entity, not like my personal accountability, because I just totally fucked that off.
How long are you planning on staying with the SLE?
The whole 6 months, and I believe I think I'm 2 months and change into that, and I'm gonna stay the 6 months. And I'll probably just go to another SLE after.
Just see where you are.
I have no idea. Yeah.
Have you found a sponsor yet?
Yes, sir.
Oh, awesome.
I found a sponsor.
Awesome.
Am I working the steps as fast as I should? I don't know.
There's no
There's
time.
no prescribed
Right,
timeline.
see,
As long as
time
you're working
constraint,
them.
none.
I always get caught basing my stuff off of somebody else's stuff, so I'm on step 1 still.
Good.
That's okay.
That's super important step.
That's-
Well, they're all super important.
Step 1's the one you have to do 100%.
Well, you got to do all of 100%. Yeah. And if you don't do it 100%, then you'll be doing step 1 again sometime.
Tell me about it. I've done step 1 a few times. And step 2, 3. Yeah. That's okay, though. I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm plugging along.
You're doing great.
I'm
Doing
good.
fantastic.
I feel good.
Yeah, you should.
We're going to talk about 8 and 9. We're moving through them. So with that, no aftercare, which, it is, I know that like the people at Azure, they recommend, the step down, and it is, I've honestly not done much aftercare myself. Like I've always gotten taken out of the residential before 30 days. So what I've done is done the partial hospitalization to finish through 30 and then moved on. But I do know that statistically your odds improve if you keep going,
I like the idea of both of them, because if it raises your odds, I'm all about it.
Right.
I really
Right.
like that, yeah.
SLEs are hit and miss. Just depends on how good your SLE is.
Right. The one that I'm at is for veterans, and a lot of them are
Awesome.
older gentlemen. And it's not really based off of recovery, but it still holds me accountable, and I have to go home and like, not a caretaker for any of the old people, but I kind of am, and it holds me accountable and makes me feel like I have a purpose there.
Oh,
That's
go.
great.
That's
That
great.
is a really good
I
No
deal.
love
recovery
that.
groups or anything, but it's like, hey, I take this guy Rick to my softball games and stuff, and he's fucking loves it.
That's great.
Oh,
I mean,
that is great.
That
Good
is
job.
giving
awesome.
back, man.
Right.
That's giving back without expecting a return. A non-transactional relationship,
Right.
like what you
Yeah.
said earlier.
those.
I love
That's
that.
I love the whole concept of non-transactional relationships. It's what all relationships should
Yeah.
be.
Yeah, I
Um,
had a roommate move in a few months ago who was in the program, so I don't have, because I have my own house and I had to go back there. And that's been an amazing thing to have somebody who's, I met in recovery, and she did all the steps in the SLE, and then it was time we both, I needed, to supplement my income, and she needed a place to transition to, and it just made sense, and it's been great because it's a support system at home, which is the same thing. Like we
Right.
hold each other accountable, which
That's
is a
beautiful.
really, really great thing to have.
I have something very similar because my wife is in recovery with me, and it's a blessing. It's had she not chosen to go ahead and get sober when it was made clear that I had to,
Right.
I don't know where we would be, honestly. Honestly, what would probably happen, because I don't know that I could ever let her go is that I'd probably not be sober and I'd probably not be here.
Right.
As in not on earth anymore. Because I don't think my body or my mind can take it.
No, if you
Anymore. So
no.
not to get dark, but
no,
just,
But it's true.
You
no,
know,
if
it
you left
is.
her, I'd kill you anyway.
yeah,
So-
well, yeah. Rich loves the wife. She's a pretty darn sweet lady. So with that, like, what's it like now? You know, like what I know, Tiana. I know you do some service. I know you do some, but like, what's your program look like now?
I have a sponsor and I'm working the steps and I go to meetings. I do a mix of Zoom and in-person meetings. I love my Zoom group. I know we've talked about that, and I have a couple of commitments for the Zooms. I have 4 commitments total, 2 in person and 2 online. But it just nothing to me personally beats the in-person meetings. I love my in-person meetings so much, and the people that are little groups of people, and so I love it. I picked up commitments right away, which I hate when they're right, but it really makes all the difference because I go even when I don't want to go. I learned that I had no, like I said, I had no experience. I know I've said that a lot, but I came into this completely blind, and I had one meeting somebody had suggested, and I went to that one over and over again, and I didn't feel like I was part of it, and I felt really uncomfortable, and it wasn't until I started going to other meetings and realized that, oh, they're all really different, and you've got to go until you find the ones that really make you feel at home. And so then I found people that did embrace me and became just part of my family, and I appreciate that so much. And Sonoma County, I hear people say it all the time. I have no experience with the programs, the AA world anywhere else, but I've heard that it's just a really, really amazing fellowship here, and I feel it all the time. So, I mean, it's a big part of my recovery, and so I stay into that, and now I'm at the point where things aren't so up in the air for me, that I can start to have incorporate a little bit of normal life, of outside of recovery life, back in with my recovery life. But I'm by no means stepping back from my commitments and my journey there. I'm just starting to kind of incorporate a little bit more of doing things that are outside of there, and I love that.
Yeah, stay right in the middle of the pack.
Right, exactly.
Yep.
In the middle.
For you.
What it's like now?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm completely healed.
Sure.
Cured.
That's what Rehab did, right?
Yeah.
That's what I thought when I got out of rehab
Right.
the first time.
The first time, right?
Yeah, first
That's
time.
why there was a second time.
I high-fived everyone that was sitting around. I was, yeah, guys, I got this. Yeah. 10 months later, I was back. Yeah.
Yeah, but in all honesty, my life has been great. It's normal life, so I'm not really a millionaire or anything great to show for it. I'm employable. I have a job. I got my license back. I have a car, so I got that going for me. But just the mindset that I have nowadays that I haven't had since I was 13 years old, and I was a kid then. So, just the fact that I could go through life right now, comfortable in my own skin is very, very. It's just great, and yeah, I'm just looking forward to being here and living now. Yeah. So everything's been really good lately.
What are you doing for your program? So you're in an SLE,
Oh, there you
and
go.
you're
Yeah, so I have the 2 commitments. I set up chairs on Saturday morning because Saturday morning is probably a crucial time to go and be busy with service. And then on Monday evenings, I'm the H&I rep at Azure. That's good.
Awesome.
And then other than that, I think I hit 4 meetings consistently every week. Some Monday, Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday thing. And then the other days I'm playing softball and stuff because I have the ability to do that now. Definitely didn't have it when I was drinking and doing drugs.
Isn't that
That's
great?
awesome.
It's insane.
That's so cool.
I used to coach little leaguers before the Marine Corps, and I enjoyed doing that. And I couldn't do that when I was drunk when I got out. And now I'm getting back into like the diamond sport, and I'm gonna go back to coaching little leaguers hopefully when they start again.
That's so cool.
Wow. Yeah, that's great.
That was a great thing when I was I mean, I might have been in my addiction still when I was coaching little leaguers in 2016, but like it still made me happy. And now I could do it and not feel like a piece of shit while doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Could
and
be twice as good.
and it's because your addiction. We've spoken about it in the past. It takes you to the place where you isolate, right? And so you
Right.
can't. You actually convince yourself that you can't do those things. Well,
Right.
what I convince myself of is that I don't want to do those things, and it's not that I don't want to do them. I can't. Like I can't go be in public because I am a fool. I am embarrassed. I can't get off of my couch. I probably haven't showered appropriately in a period of time. Yeah.
Yeah, when I finally get back out to going out into society, I'm just completely showing my ass. Or if
Right.
I do go out there, it's to the stop and rob just to see the guy to get the thing and get back inside my trailer. Like,
Right,
just
exactly.
dirty stuff.
Yeah. It's choosing the bottle over a real life. Choosing the bottle over being a real human being, and
That ain't it.
that ain't it.
That
That's
ain't
right.
it.
That ain't it. Man. Very cool. Well, I mean, thank you guys so much. You have anything to add? You feel like
that was great.
Cool,
I
right
enjoyed
Yeah,
on.
it was awesome.
Right on.
Thank you so much, guys.
I'm so
Very good.
grateful for
Thank
my
you.
time there, and I just, I've gone back and spoken there with like the HI and stuff, and I always say like get the most out of it while you're there. But
Yeah.
like you said in the beginning, they're there to give you the tools, and what you do with them is up to you. So
Yeah.
if you leave there and leave everything you learned there, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
For me, it wouldn't have worked. So I took all my tools, and it's not easy. So it's a lot of work, but I'm so grateful for my time there to kind of launch me on this path. I love it.
Well, if you're thinking of going and you're still drinking or doing drugs or whatever, and you happen to be watching this, go into rehab. As you can see, it's something great to do for yourself. It is one of the greatest presents you could give yourself ever. Is that chance to go ahead and get yourself some sobriety. Give yourself a chance to pick up the pieces in your life. It's that 28 days or however long your insurance will give you. It's just a chance to take a deep breath when you haven't been able to for a long time. So it is a good deal, and you can tell from listening to all of us, it's worked out pretty darn good in our lives. So give it a chance. It'll make a big difference in your life.
Okay.
If you have any questions about today's show or anything else recovery related, please feel free to reach out in our comments section, Facebook, DMs, or you can email the Riches. You can find all of that information in our episode description. Thank you to our guests and to our audience for being part of my sobriety today. Thank you so much for giving us some of your time. We really hope you got something out of today's episode. We would be honored if you would like and share the episode or leave a review or comment with your takeaways. Don't forget to subscribe to tune into future episodes. Have a great day.